Morning all, and welcome to today's Sunday Q&A. Been a bit of a week. 6 days this week. I was out to Durham, went up on a Sunday, then couldn't get out of Durham, so South Shields to Crieff, which is in the middle of Scotland. You ain't getting out of Scotland. Then my next job, quite a lot of dead miles from Gaul down to Warwick. I ran, done a pile of diesel and ended up in the same money as I would on a normal 5-day week. Well, not exactly. I ended up in the same money as I would on a very good normal 5-day week, but still you start to think, is it worth it? Breaking your neck, all that diesel, here, there and everywhere, away from, I was out for 2 nights, desperately trying to go, let's get a break, let's go, and then sort of, it doesn't come together. I do sometimes wonder if you're better off with just a couple of local jobs and then the pick up for the morning, low diesel, home in time for tea, so anyhow, right, this week's intro, Nick, Solo Nick, as you know, I Nick, he's got a new channel out. It's to do with like gaming, D&D, that kind of stuff. And he said, ask the question, he said, does anybody out there game? I don't know, I play the Space Invaders sometimes. Now, my dad said, so you get the new game going, what you playing, son? It's Donkey Kong, Dad. It's Dragon's Lair, Dad. It's Space Invaders. Oh, no, Dad, it's not. It's Pac-Man. It's Space Invaders, son. They're all Space Invaders, just different shapes. Right, so it's all Space Invaders. I got out a Big Little Planet. Not bothered, it's not in 3D. I played Ratchet and Clank, that was good. And then there's one coming out, it's called sort of like Atom Fall. Kind of fancy that, because it's like Fallout, but it's kind of, it's set in like 1970s England. Sellafield. That sounds really like fun. That's right up my street. But to be honest with you, I don't tend to do it. I tend to only do it at Christmas, partly because a little bit of me thinks it's a little bit kiddie, and then part of me thinks it just takes all my time. You get into a game and you go, I've got to do this, got to do that, got to do the garden. No, just have 5 minutes on this bosh. That's your afternoon gone, But as for the D&D, I think I'd play war games at 16 at school where you move around little plastic tanks. But that's as far as I got. But anybody out there, I don't, you think it's a bit nerdy, but then you find out Henry Cavill he's in all that, and he's Superman. So he might be a bit nerdy. He might just be very good looking. Nerds don't tend to look like Henry Cavill, do they really? They look like the mob of the Big Bang Theory. But anyway, there's a question out there, and I will do a link to the channel. So if anyone's out there is interested, have a look. Everyone loves a subscriber. He's my mate. So also on the intro this week. Trucking about with Steve says, sounds like the bare wire, something is touching somewhere that it shouldn't and causing a short. I don't know what's going on, honestly. The only thing I will say is John, the DAF mechanic, has adjusted the idling inhibitor, which I think is like, what seems to happen is you go to a junction and the revs fall away and then you just can't get them back up again. And I really thought we solved it. I've been, like say, Scotland, Durham, South Shields, everywhere. And then in Hempstead it died on me on Wednesday morning, but I worked out that if you're sitting in traffic, you stop, start. If you hit the thing on the dashboard, on the steering wheel, just bring the revs up a tiny bit, it doesn't fall asleep. That's the only time it's done it this week. So Tiffany's still sort of being a bit temperamental, but nowhere near as temperamental as she was. I'm worrying less when I get to work in the mornings, that's the thing. So I'm starting to dread getting in the lorry. So question of the week this week goes to King Ams, who says, can you use a car on a courier exchange to start off? It's not really, is the answer. You really want a van. It's to do with insurances and stuff, but we will do a video on that one for you. We'll do a special one for you. There you go. Fantastic. Something else I'm thinking of doing. I don't know if anyone's interested, and my mate's talking about this. He said you could do like a course. People would have to pay for it, but like 5 videos, maybe one on how to bid, one showing me do a job from beginning to end, and I'd video the whole thing, question Q&A, and monetize it. I don't know how I feel about that, because Molly did it, my daughter did it with like this package she uses. It's like CAD, but it wasn't CAD. And she had this thing where she showed people how to do it. And she sold quite a few of them. And people said, that was really useful. Thanks very much. I don't know what I'm doing. So, but then you've got all these videos out there for free. Why would you buy the course site, So I'm thinking about it. What do you think? Shall I? Shall I stick as I am? Don't be greedy, Peter. So, don't know. So the main video this week was transporting animals. Mickey 8B says, There's a guy on TikTok I follow who transports dogs across the UK and Europe. Seems very interesting. Yeah, and this is what we're going to come back to. He's obviously geared up for transporting dogs. He knows what he's doing. He said, Godzilla said, because he's added to what he said before, and the main video is about what he's actually added. He said, "Oh, I forgot to say with horses, when they are flown, some poor sod has to stand in the enclosure with them throughout the flight. It tends to be someone from the stables that the horses will know, and it's a one-on-one service. If over certain distances, so 4 horses means 4 people. So if you're flying to the States, you're flying a horses. I don't know how many people fly a horse to the States, but you could be sitting in a box with a horse for 8 hours. I guess you can just look at your phone, can't you? I guess they probably should have in-flight entertainment and stuff like that. Take it for a ride around the plane. Up and down across the wings. Yeah. Like Frank Spencer. Contemporary reference for the 18 to 25-year-olds. Oh, we've got T-Shine. Cheers, Nick. Yeah, 18 to 24-year-olds. Contemporary reference. He said they have these people transport these horses on planes. They have specialised cans which are lifted onto the plane with half the horse hanging out, giving you the sideways eye. It a bit like a convertible horse box. I keep well away. I was talking to my mate Nick, the transport manager, and he said it's this transport and animal thing. Oh, by the way, Nick did also turn around and he said DEFRA stands for the Department of Food, Environment and Rural Affairs. Thanks for the heads up. He said if it's like your horse, then it can be classed as a pet. If it's someone else's horse, like for example, if you want to move your dog, you want to put your dog in your car and you want to drive to see your cousin in Norwich, that's fine. If you put someone else's dog in your car and drive to then it just gets really, really complicated, So anyway, we'll come to the bottom line we'll come to the bottom line at the end. Gary says Brittany Ferries will not carry rabbits. He said, I have been caught and denied a couple of times. Last time I had a dozen Guardia Civil guarding me and the 2 bunnies complete with automatic weapons while the ferry staff ranted twat at me. I was escorted to the borders of Bilbao. They actually claim that they are afraid that if a rabbit escapes, that it will either chew the wiring and sink the ship or eat a hole through the bottom and sink the ship. I now use DFDS, who are more friendly anyway. Are you sure they're not getting rabbits confused with that small creature out of Aliens? Because I've got a sneaking suspicion that, rabbits probably can't chew through a hull of a ship. They can probably chew through wires. I remember, actually, when I was at school, we didn't have any pets. And I kind of thought it might be nice to have pets, so we got to take a rabbit home. So I got the rabbit home, and we kind of let it out to play in the front room, and it went behind the stereo and chewed off the wires to my dad's 8-track player, right up. So there's like the back of the box, and this is where the wires go. And they weren't clicky in wires; they were so came out, chewed them there. I couldn't get them back in. The rabbit went back to school, and that was no pets for me ever. Goldfish. Used to win them at fairs when you throw darts, cards. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. I guess it probably isn't fair on a fish. And the final one on this one is from my mate Dave the Crisps, who says, a clever man solves a problem, a wise man avoids a problem. Be lucky. And the bottom line is this. When it comes down to transporting animals, leave it to the people who transport animals. If it's transporting pigs, let the pig farmers do it. If it's transporting horses, if you've got a horse as a hobby, learn how to transport horses. If someone turns around to you on the fly and says, do you fancy moving these 2 tigers from a zoo, say no. It's a bad idea. On that note, miscellaneous this week. And so we got Nick on Solo Nick again. He says, this is all to do with adverts. So I asked a question about what adverts are people getting. Nick says, the adverts on the videos has nothing to do with the video itself. It's aimed at a viewer. So someone who watches your video, but their YouTube channel is playing kids' videos all day long because their 2-year-old is watching Peppa Pig, will probably get adverts for formula nappies while someone watching home decoration videos when they aren't watching you will get a lot of wallpaper and paint ads. If your viewers are only watching courier driver videos, they will get Amazon ads and John Lewis, not ads for Every and Shipley. So it is. Oh, and he also says about this role-playing game things, model making and crafting stuff. Have a look at the channel. We did a link earlier on at the beginning. Just check the guy out to see how it goes. There we go. I think I tried to do a link last week and it didn't work. Well, Nick, your link's at the beginning now, mate. And finally, Godzilla says, because he said about the ads he's getting, he says, ads I'm getting, holidays. He said holidays. Just come back from Tenerife. Got 4 days booked in June in Wales and then 10 days in Ibiza in August. Probably handy if you work at an airport. What if you get through customs quicker? It's decided this isn't enough and I should have booked more. It's to do with don't think they're not listening to you. My favourite story about this was Cousin Daniel, the cameraman guy, and he turned around and he said, we got a Cousin Daniel principle, by the way. I'll do a link to that one. And he turned around and he says, him and his wife Sonia were having a conversation about Robert Dice kettles. And he said, the next day on my phone popped up an advert for a Robert Dice kettle. He said, not any kettle, not just a kettle, a Robert Dice kettle. He said, don't tell me they're not listening. They're listening all the time. They're probably listening to me right now. You're listening to me right now, and that is something I've never understood, but I'm eternally grateful. So that's it for another week, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Take money.